Talking Music with Big Andy. This week, Amongst Liars, Talking Music with me, Big Andy. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I have with me this week Ian George from the band Amongst Liars. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Very well, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Good. I'm fine, thank you very much. Thank you for being on the show.
A pleasure.
Now, you are listed as being a British alternative rock band, but I mean, that really covers such a wide variety of music nowadays.
Yeah.
I noticed, I mean, you're listed somewhere as having heavy rock, grunge and punk influences, but the band influences I've seen listed are bands like Audio Slave, Royal Blood, Rage Against the Machine, Biffy Clyro, that type of thing, which is much more kind of rock, possibly grunge, than it is the punk side.
Yeah.
How would you sort of class what you do?
I mean, I guess we've got elements of lots of different things. We wanted to make it sort of, we want to get away from, obviously steer away from, we know we're not classic rock, so we want to kind of keep away from that, and we want to keep all these influences. As people, we've got lots of different influences, so I mean, from anything from like hardcore punk even to soul and funk and stuff like that. So when we came together and started writing, it was like, right, we're just going to try and fuse all this sort of stuff together, and it's quite difficult because you don't want to get, we don't want to get, as a band, get pigeonholed, I suppose, in a certain genre, which is, and by doing that, I suppose it's a blessing, and it's also a curse, because people like to pigeonhole bands and say, right, I can hear this, I can hear this, I can hear this. But we've always said, right, let's just make something and then just see what happens, I guess. And so I mean, we just like all these bands that sort of came up. The punk element, I suppose, is the more, so I suppose it comes from across as, it's sort of heavier, but it's got, I suppose it's the kind of lyrics, and you're talking a bit about sort of making it a bit more kind of socio-sided kind of things and stuff, talk about the kind of things that are going on in the world, and kind of that kind of got the punk element and a bit of the kind of the sort of the angle that comes with it, I suppose. But generally, I suppose, we just like to keep it very open and merge all these influences, because our bands like Rage are, amazing. I'd class them as a kind of, I mean, a groove rock, and they've got punk elements in them as well. So I suppose we kind of take that, and we like the whole idea of having groove to the music as well, and having sort of bit of depth and anger and sort of that, so that kind of fuses itself, I suppose.
I mean, I was looking at you're based all in and around the Brighton area.
We're kind of between Eastbourne and Brighton. So the band, the two of the guys live in Eastbourne, and we actually rehearse in Eastbourne, but I'm kind of just outside Brighton, and the bass player's just outside Brighton as well. So we kind of in that sort of Sussex kind of area. So we do a lot of stuff around that area, I suppose.
I was looking, I mean, you've been together since 2019, and you came out of the ashes of two other local bands who already had good following.
Yeah, we did. It was kind of, I mean, I was in a band called Catalina Kicks, and the other guys were in a band called Saint Apache, and we sort of round the way sort of met each other when we were touring in about 2017, I think, and sort of stayed in touch because I liked what they were doing and they liked the sort of stuff that I was doing, and we kind of just had this sort of common interest. We followed each other on socials and kind of just sort of said, well, one day we'll play a show together and we'll do something. Then they were doing, obviously, both bands were doing well, and then my band sort of imploded. One of the sort of, it just went from a 4-piece to a 3-piece down to a 2-piece, and then the person that I was working with was just like lost the plot a bit, and I saw that Saint Apache had sort of split up probably about 6 months before my band split up, and that was in sort of August 2019. And I just sent them a Facebook message and said, "Oh, I see you might be looking for a singer or something. I'm looking for something." And then they got back straight away, and we just met up. We had a jam, and it just worked really. So we sort of formed in, I'd say, late 2019, and we had sort of written loads of songs and stuff, and it was all going really well. And then obviously COVID hit, so that was not the best time to start a band, but we luckily had loads of stuff recorded and loads of material done, and so it worked really well.
I was going to say, I mean, you know, I was seeing quite a few things online from 2020 about the material you were putting out, and everybody seemed to love what you were doing, and there's lots of good reviews of your tracks and that online. And there was saying you won an award in 2021, the Great Music Stories Band of the Year award.
Yeah, we did. I mean, that was something Guy, who basically runs Great Music Stories. It comes out every Friday evening, and we sort of got involved in that because Saint Apache were put in touch with Guy by Bruce at Waterbear, which is one of the local a music college, really well-known music college that Bruce Dickinson from, I think it was in Little Angels, runs, and Leo did some sort of a course down there, and he got to know Bruce, and then when Saint Apache started doing really well, Bruce put him in touch with Guy, who obviously does Great Music Stories. So we sort of had this sort of introduction as the brand new band that coming out of Saint Apache, and he sort of really championed us, and we went down really well with his listeners, and all the singles that we put out. Obviously we couldn't tour, we can't play any live shows, but luckily we recorded as many songs as we possibly could. We put out, I think we put 4 or 5 singles out in 2020, and we did some online festivals and bits and pieces like that. So basically did as much as we could, I suppose. And yeah, it was complete shock that we got he does a sort of a monthly vote to get band of the month, and then it comes to the end of the year, and all the votes got compiled up together, and we won it, which was like mad, because we were just literally about to start our first tour that we'd ever been on, and we were playing the first night at Eastbourne. It was sold out, was doing really well, and just before we went on stage, we heard that we won it, and was like, wow, that's just mad. But it was it was great. So, and everyone that's obviously we made loads of new fans and friends from that show as well, which has been brilliant. Yeah.
So and you did a headline tour on the back of that, and well, you were already doing that before you won that in 2021. Let's have a look at a clip from one of the band's videos. So now 2022, you've got a full album coming out.
Yeah, we have. I mean, luckily over lockdown, we sort of managed to write as much as we possibly could. And then when everything sort of opened up again, we went in and recorded, and we were sort of bouncing ideas across to each other. And we went up to Manchester to work with a guy called Dave Radder Jones, who was in Heaven's Basement, and he's got a studio up there, and he's a brilliant producer. We've all sort of done everything with him, and we just recorded this. We probably recorded, I suppose, 20 tracks altogether in the 2 years that lockdown was sort of on, and then we thought, right, we've released some singles, let's put an album out and see what happens. So we picked 11 tracks. Some of them we've released the singles already. Maybe I think it's 2 or 3 songs that have been out already that we thought we had to get on the album, because it's quite a good flavour to the songs, and it sort of fits really well. And then there's sort of other brand new ones, and we put out the first single from that in about a month ago, and that's gone down really well. We've got another single coming out in about another month, and then we're putting another single out with the album in early July.
So that single, that was Cut It, is that the one?
That's right, Cut It. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I really like that, and I like the video for
Thanks.
it as well. It's a really good song. It's I know you were saying you were trying to steer away from classic rock, but it does have a kind of, I don't know, it's got that kind of feel to it, like it's not necessarily classic rock, but it feels like something that you've heard before, if you know what I mean. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's like you know, when you hear a new song and it feels comfortable because it's like you feel like you know it. You know, it's that sort of thing. It's kind of like you immediately feel comfortable listening to it, and it's like sort of, I really like this sort of sound and this feel.
That's great. Thanks.
You know, it is really good. I really like that. What was the sort of the thing behind the writing of it?
I'm not. For that song, it just came out of a bass riff that Ross, because we all write together basically. We get in a room and we just bounce off ideas off each other, and then sort of they come up with it instrumentally, and then I'll put lyrics together. But it was just bass riff that Ross came up with, and we thought something that was quite driving and it's quite kind of quite hard hitting, I suppose. And then we came up with the chorus off the back of that. So we made the chorus a bit more groove rock, I suppose, kind of, and sort of give it that sort of bit of bounce. Yeah. And it just worked really well, and we put some kind of stops in there to give it a bit more kind of sort of attitude and anger, I suppose. And then there's actually a backwards section as well. We play the riff backwards as well towards the end, which is quite mad to do live, because you obviously learned to do it one way forward, and then you have to sort of then flip it on the other side, which is, you know. So we just thought it's just worked really well, and it was quite quick to actually pull it together. And then in terms of obviously the lyrics. Again, I write about stuff that I think is quite important and sort of people need to be sort of, aware of or discussing, if you see what I mean. And there was a lot of obviously over the sort of lockdown period, there was a lot of focus on people being sort of locked up together in a sense, and there's the effect that had on people, and the domestic abuse and violence sort of was increased during that period. And then obviously the Me Too hashtags as well, and the Caroline Flack death, etc., and all this kind of online bullying. So I thought I wanted to write something about that, and so I thought the song kind of lent itself to that, with the idea. And then so I sort of put the lyrics together over that, and the whole idea of obviously cut it being, it needs to stop, it's wrong, and hopefully you can get, if one person, it helps one person, that's great. And that's the whole idea of it, and that we want to obviously signpost people to, when we put the song out, we thought the video as well, we thought let's film kind of in plastic, so we got that whole feeling of being smothered, I suppose, to kind of get that across as well, and obviously signpost people to, if there are sort of support agencies and charities and stuff that people can actually sort of be, I suppose, hooked into. I suppose that was the whole thing. So we like to write, I suppose it's about a story in the sense of that comes out of this sort of, obviously there's a lot of bad going on, but trying to get some positivity out of it, I suppose.
Yeah. No, I agree. I did actually. I really like the look of it. The plastic thing and the color as well. It does give it a very kind of claustrophobic feeling. Yeah. It works really well. I really like that.
Oh God, yeah. You should have filmed it. We had to perform that. I mean, it was so hot. It was like we had to sing under sheet plastic for probably about 20-30 takes or something. By the end, you then take it off, breathe, then get back under again. It was just it was mad.
You have to suffer for your art.
Exactly, yeah.
So I must admit, I've been watching through your videos and listening to some of your stuff. There were 4 tracks that kind of jumped out to me, if you want. Cut It was definitely one of them, because the atmosphere and the feel of the video and the song was great. I like that. Truth was another one I really like. Is that going to be on the new album, or is that?
No, Truth's not going to be. That was a kind of standalone single we had, because we had it recorded, but we thought it was a bit too kind of soft for the album in itself. We might do something with it later on, and we did it. We put it out.
Sorry. I really like the fact that it's like that, because it's really quite interesting compared to all the other stuff. It kind of you're kind of not expecting it, and even with the video, you're not expecting it to be kind of that mellow, and it really comes across well. It makes an interesting dynamic with all the other stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, well, I love that song as well. I mean, I think it was just we wanted to do something, and it kind of the video came across. Obviously, it was the footage from the tour, and then we wanted to put a single out just towards the end of the year. I think it was after. I think I kind of joked. We talked about this band of the year thing. I did a joke and well, not joke, but just said if we win the band of the year, just very flippantly, we'll put another single out. And then we won it, and I was like, shit, we have to put a single out now. And so what have we got that's obviously we're thinking of that it could be a nice standalone sort of single in itself.
Yeah.
And then we do it for charity, and we did it for shelter and raise some money for obviously the homeless. But it kind of worked nicely in that respect. But we're not discounting putting it out properly because it's obviously not on Spotify and it's not out on streaming platforms. We just did it as a download, and it's on YouTube, obviously. But that's potentially a future. But I like it. It's kind of got very kind of, I suppose, Chili Peppers vibe to it, I suppose, in a sense. It's got that kind of feel. So
yeah.
These guys on the way to our gig. Lads, it's no problem, mate.
I thought I found it all, safe from falling. I hope that those open arms can heal the empty. I'm blinded by faded sun into a black unknown. I waited a long time now. So clinical, but now it's gone. Unknown. And who are you to compromise? And who are you to leave like this with all these cuts we wore? Hold on to reality. There ain't no life behind this truth. Ain't no life behind this truth. I thought I saw us there, reminiscing. We sat, we laughed, we cried, we lived so gently. I cannot fight, I cannot breathe. It breaks the flow, and in every sense I'd stand alone. It cuts in two, and who are you to...
Another one I like was one from 2020 called Over and Over.
That was the first single, actually. Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favourite songs.
It's a really good song. It works really well. It's a pity there isn't a proper video for it, because all I saw was just it's like a picture of the album cover or the single cover or whatever.
Oh, there is a video. Yeah, there's definitely a video. You should check it out. That was our first ever single. Yeah, definitely check that one out, because that's the first video that we did together. Yes, and there's a proper video that was a bit crazy as well.
I must have missed that on looking through. I just say I found a lot that were just the audio with like a picture of the album cover or whatever of the a single cover. But they're all good. There wasn't anything I found that I didn't like.
That's good.
The other one that really stood out for me was one called Kill the Tide, which I really liked. Again, it's a good video, and I really like the song. It's got a really good feel to it, a really nice kind of vibe to it. I really like that.
No, thanks. That was the first song we actually wrote together as a band, Kill the Tide. I think that was coming out of the two bands, and that was the sort of talking about how it sort of happened and how it kind of everything came together as well. So this all kind of and originally I think that had a much longer intro. We wanted to do a bit of kind of who was it? It was a Cochise type thing that
Oh.
by Audio Slaves you start with that kind
Maybe.
of build up, and then we put it to radio and stuff, and everyone said no, you don't want to do that because that would literally put this epic intro where it all builds up and swells, and then they just went nah, it's not going to work like that, so we had to go back and redo it so it's a bit more instant, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be commercially viable as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I mean, how you can have that sort of thing on an album, do a single version
exactly.
of it as well. So where from here? I mean, you got the album is coming out in July, is that right?
Yeah, July the 8th it comes out. Yeah, which is great. So we're really looking forward to that. We're actually in the studio, sort of just writing new tracks between. So we start playing live shows again in June, but we're taking the next month and a half, 2 months to actually write the next album. So while we've got a bit of time off, and then we start the promo proper for the album. So we're playing some festivals and some shows and doing a sort of mini tour, and then we're playing some in stores and stuff like that to actually get it out there. So, but in the meantime, it's write the second album to make sure we can actually go in and record. We're booked in to record that in November, December time. So we've obviously got to make sure we write that all first, and then we're looking forward to that. It's kind of get back to this writing process as well, which is really good. And then we're going to obviously start playing loads of shows and do as much as we can really. And I think we're going to be touring again in October as well. So there's going to be one tour kind of June, July time, and then another one sort of early October.
Where will you be touring? What sort of will you be moving further afield than the local area, or where are you going?
For this one in July, we're playing a really in June. We're doing a festival called Breaking Bands in early June, which is up in sort of I think Midlands type way, and then we're supporting the band called Theory of a Dead Man, who are like massive over in Canada, America.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a really big show. That's in London, and then we're going to go from basically doing around the Bournemouth area. We're doing a festival there, and then we're working our way up to Scotland to play Wildfire Festival via basically going to be definitely. I think Sunderland's on the books. We're talking about Derby and Leeds as well. They're just being confirmed at the moment. So that's going, and then we're going to come back down to Eastbourne and London to do the launch party shows. So yeah.
Well, there's a. I mean, I've seen it from the bands I've been interviewing. There's quite a big rock circuit and rock market going on around the sort of Leeds and Manchester and
definitely,
around that sort of way. So I mean, I'm sure you'll get a good reception there. Well, that sounds really good. You've got a lot going on. Here's another video clip.
For sure, your side, I can't give any more. Those lies, you're not the only one. No end without a setting sun. Alive, you'll never take it when your heart's not in it. Your head's on fire. For what it's worth, this wreck of hurt, I cast it all aside. I will embrace, I will insist. You are no friend of mine.
What about plans for the future? I mean, do you have any long-term plans for the band, or are you just sort of playing it year by year and seeing how it goes?
I mean, the long-term plans, I suppose it takes so long, and you've got to be very lucky to kind of realize that to actually get as high as you can. We just love playing. We like writing. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we're all focused on the bigger goal, I suppose, is to be playing really big stages, big festivals, touring with bigger name acts, and making what we can out of it, I suppose, while we still can. we're all about playing live. So that's the big goal. I mean, it'd be amazing to be able to play Download one day, and that'd be a dream.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think we're just taking it as it comes. We're just really kind of proactive and positive what we do, I suppose. So the more you put in, hopefully the more you get out. But then this music business, so you can't be too cut up on it, because I've been in bands before that have been sort of signed to labels, and it's all gone pear-shaped, and it's you get built up and then it all drops out again. So we just wanted to just enjoy what we do and play bigger stages, and obviously put as many albums out as we can, write as many songs as we can, meet as many people, travel the world, and do what we can, I suppose. So yeah. No, that's cool. And it's I mean, it's a good time for it at the moment. It's one of those interesting things. It's like you were saying about the not wanting to be sort of like caught up in a genre thing. And I think it's quite interesting is that almost all of the bands I've talked to have said exactly the same thing. They don't want to be tied down into one particular genre of music. They want to be able to have the freedom to play what they want to play. But the more and more you're seeing streaming services and things like that who insist on you putting yourself in a little category, which doesn't allow you the freedom, and it doesn't necessarily introduce you to new markets. Which, is, I think, really important nowadays. It's a lot easier for people to get their music recorded and put online, but it's a lot more difficult to actually target the markets you're looking for. So it's kind of a weird sort of situation. But I know. Sorry. No, sorry. Yeah, it is tricky. I mean, it is tricky like that, and it's kind of, I think that there are specific kind of, like you said, there's very specific classic rock genre. There's a very specific alternative thing when you're talking about, and the festivals and all the things you're aiming at are different, I suppose. We're aiming to go more, hopefully more Reading and Leeds, but with that alternative side, rather than the kind of more classic rock concerts and festivals that I see. And we're doing we've got a guy that the next single that's coming out off the album, we've just done a rap remix as well. So there's a local rapper, and there's a local sort of, he said, I could put some stuff down over the verses for that. So I thought, why not mix it up and see what happens. And and then we've got a Finnish guy a DJ doing a remix of it as well. So we're going to put it out there and see what happens. It might be, because we just love, again, it's just like I just love listening to music, and it doesn't really matter what genre it is. But like you say, it's difficult because people do like to be targeted and pigeonholed, if you see what I mean, in a certain, because it makes it easier for people listening, I suppose.
I mean, I could never remember the name of the band. The thing that they did, the guys from the guitarist from Static X, and a couple of guys from Linkin Park did this thing together where they was kind of mixing kind of like the scratching stuff, and he was playing guitar over it. And, it was really interesting stuff because it was really different. But I really like that sort of, I like that crossover of genres because of the fact that it gives you an opportunity to listen to stuff that you wouldn't normally maybe listen to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very much like that. And this, I mean, we're really excited to see what happens with this. We're just expecting the mixes back fairly soon for the rap version. And it's kind of, we wanted to go down that Linkin Park, and they got a DJ that put some scratching on it, and it sounds awesome. It just works really well. So it's like, can't wait to see what this turns out like. And it might be that we'll get the guy to do some stuff live that we kind of put this on. Just, it mixes it up and it gets people in that have not necessarily heard your stuff before, and they might hear a song on the radio that's got and think, actually I quite like that, and let's go and see what they're doing. Definitely. Well, good luck with the recording, with the release of the new album and recording the second one. Good luck with the gigs when they start. I hope that they all go well. Anybody who's watching, I would say look out for Amongst Liars. Look out for their gigs, look out for the music and the album, that sort of thing when it comes out. I will be putting links, as I always do, to social media and to YouTube channel so that you can check their stuff out and you can see where they're playing and what they're doing. Thank you really very much for joining me on here. It's been really good talking to you. No, pleasure. Thanks so much for having us. It's been great chatting. Good to see you. To everybody out there, keep an eye out for Amongst Liars, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. Cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye. Talking Music with Big